Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another UFC preview and predictions, and after a week of hiatus, the UFC is back, and we are back in the Apex. Yeah, I know. We're back in Las Vegas again. I was hoping this card was going to be at another city in America with the full crowd, but unfortunately, we're going to be in the empty arena here in the Las Vegas Apex, but Kevin Holland's back. Yeah, 3 weeks after losing to Derek Brunson in a 5-round main event, Kevin Holland will return to take on Marvin Vettori, and we've got 15 fights. So folks, buckle up. We have got a lot of damn fights to talk about, but first, if you have not yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for more UFC on the channel. Now let's get into these 15 fights. So why this is the first fight on the card, I do not know, but we've got Sasha Palatnikov taking on Kasanganay. This is a banger of a fight to start us off. Let's start first here with Sasha Palatnikov. By the way, this fight is at 170, and Kasanganay is coming down from 185, going down to 170 for the first time in his career. So Sasha Palatnikov, the fighter from Hong Kong, had his first fight in the UFC. It was a win over Louis Kosi, where he was a big underdog in that fight. He came back and he won the fight. He was probably down. Well, he lost the first round. You couldn't say maybe he won the second, but he finished the fight in the third round. It was a really good fight to start off UFC 255. He got kicked in the nuts early in that fight, though. And Joe Rogan and DC were having a laugh during his timeout, which is really weird. But yeah, Sasha Palatnikov, very good fight against Louis Kosi. I highly suggest you go check that out. He was not supposed to win that fight. Comes in there and gets the job done in the third round. Also, he had green and pink ankle tape on. Cool, right? Before that, he did fight in UAE Warriors, got a couple wins over there. Did fight Munir Lazzez, though, in UAE Warriors. Did lose that fight by TKO in 2019. And yeah, Sasha Palatnikov, over a record of 6 wins and 2 losses. Very good stand-up game for Palatnikov. Did really well in the Kosi fight, keeping that fight on the feet and fighting that fight how he wanted to, and eventually knocked down Louis Kosi multiple times in that fight, and eventually finished Kosi on the ground. It was a really good fight for Sasha Palatnikov. Worked the body really well in that one as well. He throws a lot of volume. You're gonna see that, and you're gonna see Kasanganay throw a lot of volume as well. So this is an early fight of the night contender, man, because Kosi and Palatnikov won fight of the night in their first fight, or in the first fight of the UFC 255 card. Definitely expect this one to be a fight of the night contender to kick off this card. And this card, by the way, starting in the morning. I don't know why. It's on ABC, so that's cool. But yeah, that's Sasha Palatnikov coming in this fight with a record of 6-2. Let's talk about his opponent in Kasanganay. And of course, you probably know Kasanganay from that fight against Joaquin Buckley, where it was a good fight. It was a very competitive fight. I don't know who you would have had ahead in that one. The first round was very close. The second round was looking like it was going to be Joaquin Buckley, but I thought it was going to probably be, oh, I mean, the knockout was pretty early in the second round, but where it was going was probably going to be 1-1 going to the third round. But of course, that fight ended with the Joaquin Buckley spinning back kick. I mean, Kasanganay caught the kick. Buckley turns around, kicks him in the face. I guess it happens, right? Sure, it happens, right? Kasanganay's first fight in the UFC, though, a very good win over Maki Pitolo, and a very good fight, too. Kasanganay put it on Pitolo in that one. You thought that he might have gotten a finish later in that third round. Pitolo, though, stayed in the fight, but Kasanganay won that one pretty convincingly. Unanimous decision. And again, the Buckley fight was just unfortunate for Kasanganay. He's only been fighting professionally since 2019, so there's that. I mean, he's very young into his MMA career. He won the Contender Series twice against Kalen Hill and Anthony Adams, won both of those by unanimous decision, then beat Pitolo, and then lost to Joaquin Buckley. And Kasanganay no longer training at North Carolina. He went down to Sanford MMA, excuse me. He is now training there. And yeah, Kasanganay over a record of 8-1. Kasanganay's never gotten a TKO finish in his career. In interviews leading up to this fight, Kasanganay's been saying he wants to finish this fight with an overhand right. Will it happen? Do I think it's gonna happen? No. I think Kasanganay, though, will still probably win this fight. Sasha Palatnikov, very tough guy to put away. I mean, you saw Louis Kosi put a lot on Palatnikov in that first round, and Sasha stayed in the fight. So I think it's going to be a very tough task for Kasanganay to put him away. But I think Kasanganay will probably, the volume's going to catch up to Sasha Palatnikov in this fight. I don't think Kasanganay is going to tire like Louis Kosi did, because Kasanganay's gas tank is incredible. You saw all that volume he did put on Maki Pitolo in their fight and the 2 fights in the Contender Series. Kasanganay is cardio for days. I think he's going to be able to put up a lot of pressure on Sasha Palatnikov. I think he's going to win this fight by unanimous decision, 3 rounds to nothing. Next up, we've got Jung taking on William Knight. Let's start first here with William Knight. His last fight was supposed to be Alonzo Menifield. That fight got scheduled twice and never ended up actually happening. Alonzo Menifield just won his fight most recently a couple weeks ago by Von Fluchoke. Very good win for him. But yeah, Will Knight is now fighting Jung. Took this fight on relatively short notice, but I mean, Will Knight, tremendous power. You saw him beat up Alexa Kamur for 3 rounds, looked very good in that fight. And yeah, Will Knight, just a lot of power. That's, I mean, how simple as I can put it. Again, looked very good in that fight against Alexa Kamur. Looked good on the Contender Series as well. And he got his way into the Contender Series by beating Rocky Edwards by KO in the 3rd round of their fight. Yeah, Will Knight, again, record of 9-1. Let's talk about his opponent, though, in Jung. And Jung was definitely supposed to win his last fight. I mean, he was fighting Sam Alvey. Nothing against Sam Alvey, but Jung was supposed to win that one. It was a draw. It was a split draw on Habib Gaethje. I mean, Jung was closing at like a minus 400 favorite, and it was a draw. Yikes. Before that, for Jung, he beat Mike Slow Rodriguez by KO in the 1st round of their fight, and then before that, beat Hadias Ibrahimov. Okay, Hadias Ibrahimov went 4-0 in the UFC. He's now been released. Mike Slow Rodriguez looked okay recently, but he just did lose to Danilo Marquez, who's somehow like good now. I don't know. I mean, hey, he always looked good in the UFC. It's just that his record outside the UFC wasn't that impressive. But Mike Slow Rodriguez is on a 2-fight losing streak, given he was supposed to beat Ed Herman, but that didn't happen. But Jung does own wins over those 2 guys, and then he had a draw against Sam Alvey. Jung is the favorite in this fight. I kind of get it, but I feel like we need to pump the brakes a little bit on Jung here, okay? Yes, he beat Hadias Ibrahimov. He choked him out in the 3rd round, and then he knocked out Mike Rodriguez. The quality of those wins are just all right. And the Sam Alvey, I mean, you gotta beat Sam Alvey. If you're a guy like Jung, you're rising the ranks right now at light heavyweight, you gotta beat a guy like Sam Alvey. And I know Alvey, again, every time I mention him, he's a brawler. He'll come out there and he'll throw a lot of strikes. He really doesn't care if he gets knocked out or not. He's just gonna throw a lot of strikes and hope that he clips you with one. Jung should have won that fight. He didn't. It was a draw, given the judges. I mean, a lot of people thought Jung ended up winning that fight anyway, but it was a split draw. And Jung does come into this fight with a record of 13 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. I feel pretty confident saying we're probably gonna get a KO finish in this one, or a TKO finish. Both these guys have a lot of power in their damn hands, and they're gonna throw and they're gonna swing in this fight. As for my prediction, though, I'm gonna go with William Knight. Just not that confident in Jung. That's really my main reasoning in this one. Again, both these guys throw a lot of power. It's basically the first guy to land a really clean shot will probably end up winning this fight. I'm just gonna go with Will Knight just because I like what I saw in the Alexa Kamur fight. Liked what I saw in the Contender Series, given his fight was only like 2 minutes. And again, with Jung, the Sam Alvey fight kind of sticks out, but also it's just like he's beat Hadias Ibrahimov and Mike Rodriguez in the UFC. And I know Will Knight beat Alexa Kamur, and Alexa Kamur has only won 1 fight in the UFC, which is Justin Ledet, but still, I'm going to go with Will Knight to win this one. I'm going to say by knockout in the 1st round. I think we get a flash knockout here for Will Knight early in the 1st round. So next up, we've got Luis Saldana taking on Jordan Griffin. We will start first here with Jordan Griffin. So his last fight was a loss to Yusuff Zalal and Poirier Hooker in Las Vegas in June of last year, and then before that he beat TJ Brown by guillotine on Figueiredo Benavides in Norfolk, Virginia. Before that, lost to Chad Skelly, and then before that, lost to Dan Ige. Then he got his way into the UFC by winning on the Contender Series by beating Maurice Mitchell by rear naked choke. Jordan Griffin coming into this fight with a record of 18 wins and 8 losses. What do we know about Jordan Griffin? Tremendous ground game. The stand-up game is all right, but I mean, it's the ground game for Jordan Griffin that wins him fights. Again, the TJ Brown fight, pretty impressive performance for Jordan Griffin on the ground in that one. But his opponent, Luis Saldana, again, another one of these guys, good on the feet. You see him get these spectacular finishes on the feet, like in the Contender Series, but he can also get the job done on the ground as well. So that's really what makes this fight very intriguing, because you don't know how good Luis Saldana really is compared to a guy like Jordan Griffin, who's fought some of the best in the octagon. Okay, given he fought Dan Ige, and that's who really I'm saying is the best right now in the octagon. Dan Ige, top 10 fighter at 145. So Jordan Griffin has been there with some of the better fighters in the UFC, given he is 1-3 in the promotion. But again, the strength of schedule is very difficult. Dan Ige, Chad Skelly, TJ Brown, Yusuff Zalal, I mean, Ige Skellions are all very tough fights to deal with. And again, Griffin's ground game is very good too. And his stand-up game, not as good as his ground game, but it's still not bad. And it's to the point where he can definitely hang with Luis Saldana on the feet. Definitely. So that's Jordan Griffin again coming to this fight with a record of 18-8. Let's talk about his opponent in Luis Saldana. And Saldana is coming off that impressive finish on the Contender Series against Vince Murdoch in November of last year. Really nice front kick in that one, got him the win. And before that, he was coming off a win in LFA, got a win by rear naked choke in the second round. And yeah, Luis Saldana coming into this fight with a record of 14-6. 6 losses on the record is a little bit concerning. But again, his most recent loss, 2017, is to Alex Wiggs Jr. By unanimous decision in 2017. Okay, and before that, he lost in RFA to Mike Santiago by TKO in the third round of their fight. But Saldana is on a 4-fight winning streak. TKO, rear naked choke, and a TKO finish. So 4 straight finishes in a row for Luis Saldana coming into this fight. Again, we talked about it earlier. We just don't know how good Luis Saldana really is because he hasn't fought anyone on the level of a Jordan Griffin really yet in his career. Never really fought the top talent outside of the UFC, if you get what I mean, right? But yeah, Saldana can get it done on the feet and on the ground. Solid stand-up game, a very good ground game as well. So it's basically, who do you think's got the better ground game in this fight? Because I think in the stand department, these two are very well evenly matched, and on the ground game too, or on the ground, they're very evenly matched. But I think we're definitely going to see this fight take place on the ground. It should be a very good fight. Again, it is Saldana's first fight in the UFC, and Jordan Griffin potentially could be fighting for his contract. That all being said, I'm gonna go with Jordan Griffin to get the win. Yeah, we're going back-to-back upset picks right here. I like Jordan Griffin in this fight. I really do. I think the ground game is gonna be too much for Luis Saldana. I really don't anticipate this fight taking place on the feet too much. I think Griffin's gonna be able to take him down, and I think he's probably gonna be able to get a finish. We've seen Saldana get beat before in the past, and I think Jordan Griffin is going to do it again. Saldana was submitted, again, it was 6 years ago, and then 2012. So Saldana is not like it's easy to finish him, but I think Jordan Griffin can be the guy. I'm gonna go with the Jordan Griffin submission win in the second round. Next up, we've got Jack Shore taking on Hunter Azure. Let's start first with Hunter Azure. So he is 9-1 so far in his pro career. His last fight was a winner over Cole Smith by unanimous decision. Got that one done on the Augusto Sakai Alistair Overeem card last year, and then before that, he did lose to Brian Kelleher. It was in Jacksonville. It was on the Glover Teixeira and Anthony Smith card. He lost that one in the second round. And then before that, his debut fight in the UFC was a win over Brad Katona in September of 2019. That was on the Cowboy Gagey card over there in Vancouver, British Columbia. And then he won his UFC debut he got his fight in the UFC by winning on the Contender Series. And before that, he did fight LFA as well. He did go 3-0 over there. Azure's only loss so far in his pro career is to Brian Kelleher. Again, that fight was last year in May. And yeah, Hunter Azure, good stand-up game for Hunter Azure. The ground game really hasn't been tested too much. You really see him just stand there and throw a lot, and that's how he beat Cole Smith. 29-28 across the board in that fight. And the Brad Katona win, again, back in 2019, he did win that one. He got 29-28 with 130-27 mixed in there as well. Yeah, Hunter Azure, though, current record of 9-1. Let's talk about his opponent, though, in the former Cage Warriors champion, in Jack Shore. And Jack Shore is just, amazing on the ground. That's pretty simple. Jack Shore's last win was a rear naked choke finish of Aaron Phillips over in the summer. That was on Fight Island. That was Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige. A pretty good win right there for Jack Shore. And before that, he won his first fight in the UFC over Nolan Hernandez. Won that one by rear naked choke as well. And then again, he was the former Cage Warriors champion. Defended that title, I believe, once. Yeah, he won the vacant world title, and then he beat Scott Malone to retain the championship. And then soon after, got the call to go to the UFC. Obviously, he is now in the UFC. But yeah, Jack Shore, tremendous ground game. His go-to choke is usually the rear naked choke. He'll take back pretty easily, get both of his hooks in, and he will finish the fight that way. You got 8 submissions on the record for Jack Shore with 4 KOs and with 1 decision. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Dana White if you don't know now you know fight, given there are 15 fights, but I like to make my Dana White if you don't know now you know fight predictions on this card. I'm going to say it's probably going to be this and Arnold Allen Sodiq Yusuff, because Super Sodiq Yusuff and Arnold Allen should get a lot of, it should get a lot of promotion going into this fight. It's not getting the promotion it deserves, but that is a big co-main event on this card. But back to Jack Shore. Yeah, again, current record of 13-0. The man has not been beat yet, and he just takes guys down with ease, man. And I think it's going to be more the same in this fight with Hunter Azure. I think Jack Shore is going to be able to get the takedown in this one. He'll be able to work on the ground, and I think he's going to get another finish. I'm going to go Jack Shore rear naked choke finish again. I think he gets the job done. I'm going to say in the second round again, another second round submission win. I think Jack Shore gets the job done. I've been pretty high on him since he came over from Cage Warriors to the UFC, continuing the undefeated streak for Jack Shore. Okay, so we're back in the heavyweight division here between Georges Danho and Yorgande Castro. A really weird fight here. I mean, Georges Danho, his last fight in the UFC was in 2016 against Christian Colombo. I forgot this dude was a fighter in the UFC. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't think there was too much appeal for a Georges Danho return. He's supposed to fight Greg Hardy, I guess. That fight never happened. He's supposed to fight Tai Tuivasa. Didn't even know that was a thing. Keep it real with you. Danho's last fight, though, was on, get this, Andrei Arlovsky versus Josh Barnett. Oh my goodness. Josh Barnett has fought more recently in the UFC than Georges Danho. Think about that one. It was a draw, though, to Christian Colombo, who was now out of the UFC. And his first fight in the UFC, lost by technical majority decision on the Anderson Silva Michael Bisping card. Again, think about that. That was a very long time ago. Georges Danho's last win was in 2015 by KO. It was on Desert Force in Jordan. I don't know where we're going with this one, man. I mean, I just don't know. Like, Georges Danho maybe could come back and maybe it's just incredible. Maybe it's like a Carlos Felipe. He goes away from the UFC, or he was signed and then he doesn't fight. I mean, it's not like Carlos Felipe is an incredible fighter, but he's not bad. I definitely thought he lost his last fight, Justin Tafa, but whatever. But maybe Danho comes back and he's just a knockout artist. Maybe he's coming for Ngannou. No, yeah, I just don't know what we're gonna get out of Georges Danho. I just don't. Again, hasn't fought since 2016, hasn't won since 2015, but Yorgande Castro hasn't done anything his last two fights either. So that's Georges Danho. Let's talk about his opponent, and again, Yorgande Castro. So Yorgande Castro thinks he's fighting for his contract in this fight. I definitely think he is, or at least you just gotta make this fight interesting, man. Because Yorgande Castro's last two fights, Greg Hardy. Again, I think Yorgande Castro said he hurt his hand in the first round, so there's that. But the Carlos Felipe fight, that was a co-main event, man. Holly Holm, Irene Aldana on ESPN. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Like, Carlos Condit and Court McGee was on the ESPN Plus prelims of this card. This fight was higher on the card than Geraint Durandamy and Juliana Pena, and Juliana Pena is about to challenge for a world championship, and Geraint Durandamy, say what you want, is a former world champion as well, but Yorgande Castro and Carlos Felipe was above that on that card. It was one of the worst co-main events I've ever seen. That fight was boring. Like, I picked Yorgande Castro to win. He really didn't do anything in that fight. You got 30-27s across the board except for 129-28. Again, all for Carlos Felipe. I was big on Yorgande Castro. If you go back to my first ever UFC preview and predictions, it was UFC 249 in Jacksonville, Greg Hardy, Yorgande Castro. That video is kind of messed up now because of copyright issues, but I believe the Yorgande Castro Greg Hardy fight is still intact. If you want to go watch that, I was huge on Yorgande Castro. I'm like, all right, this dude just came from that Justin Tafa fight. He's stepping back, boom, he knocks him out, puts Justin Tafa down in Australia. This dude is going to be a monster. I mean, I believe the exact quote was like, oh, and if you don't know Yorgande Castro, you are going to know him after this pay-per-view card. He's probably going to put down Greg Hardy. He's going to win this fight. Didn't happen. And Yorgande Castro has not looked good since the Justin Tafa fight. I'll keep it that simple with you. But I picked him twice before, and I'm going to pick him again. I just don't know what is Georges Danho going to do? He hasn't fought in 5 years, all right? I'm picking Yorgande Castro to win this fight. Stay in the UFC. Will he win by knockout? Sure. Yeah, screw it. All right, Yorgande Castro is winning this fight by knockout. Get back on the Yorgande Castro hype train after beating Georges Danho. Let's get it, Yorgande Castro with the win. So next up, we've got Ignacio Bahamondes taking on John Makdessi. We will start first here with Ignacio Bahamondes. His last fight, very good win over Edson Gomez on the Contender Series. He's a pretty big favorite in that fight, but he won with the front head kick. pretty impressively. Won that fight in the second round. A very good knockout on that one. You gotta check that one out. And before that, he beat Chris Brown, not Chris Breezy. He beat Chris Brown, the MMA fighter, by split decision in LFA in September of last year. And before that, he did lose a fight in Combate in Fresno by unanimous decision against Salvador Becerra. Lost that one by unanimous decision. Before that, won a pretty big winning streak over there in Combate. But again, the Edson Gomez win it sticks out because of just how impressive of a knockout finish that was. He was awarded the contract by Dana White. Dana White said, and I quote, "There's no chance in hell this isn't the #1 play on SportsCenter, the #1 whatever, I guess play, but #1 finish on SportsCenter." I don't know if it was the #1 finish on SportsCenter because SportsCenter hates MMA, let's be real. Yeah, it was an incredible knockout. You got to go check that one out. And Ignacio currently holds a record of 11 wins and 3 losses, but they are giving him a very tough fight. First fight in John Makdessi. Let's now talk about John Makdessi. John Makdessi's been in the UFC for a while. I mean, it's been a while. His first fight was on UFC 124 in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. George St. Pierre versus Josh Koscheck, #2. He won his fight there by unanimous decision. He's been fighting ever since in the UFC, so a lot of fights on the record for John Makdessi. Most recently, though, he did lose to Francisco Trinaldo by unanimous decision over on Leo Oliveira in Brasilia in March of last year. And before that, he did go on a 3-fight winning streak, wins over Jesus Pinedo and Ross Pearson. He won that Pearson fight by unanimous decision on the Alvarez Poirier 2 card in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. You got 30-26, 29-27, 29-28 on that card for Makdessi. And again, he's fought the best and the best in the UFC. You got guys such as Alan Patrick, you got Donald Cowboy Cerrone, you got Yancy Medeiros, Lando Groovy Venata, Ross Pearson, Trinaldo, big names he's fought in the UFC. And Makdessi, again, stand-up fighter. He's willing to throw. He's a very good kickboxer, and we're gonna see a kickboxing fight in this fight with him. And with Ignacio. I mean, this should be a very good, very fun stand-up fight. One of these fights, watch out, could be a fight of the night. I would definitely expect it because both these guys are looking for the finish. They both have very heavy hands and they both throw a lot of damn strikes and a lot of volume in their fights. Yeah, Makdessi, again, fighting in the UFC for over 10 years now. And as for my prediction, though, I'm gonna go with Ignacio Bahamondes. I just like that finish, man, on the Contender. And like, he looked very good in that fight. And yeah, it might be a little bit of recency bias. Okay, it's a lot of recency bias, but I'm gonna go with Ignacio Bahamondes to win this fight. I really like his stand-up game. Again, I think Ignacio is just kind of a younger version of John Makdessi. Makdessi's 35 years old. It's pretty tough to be 35 years old in one of these weight classes, such as 155. And I'm gonna go with Ignacio Bahamondes to win this one. Again, something to note, though, he did fight at 170 on the Contender. He has been fighting at welterweight for a while, finally coming down to 155. I don't think it's going to affect him too much. I think he's just going to be a little bit quicker at 155. I mean, again, you just don't know the weight cut, but I'm hoping Ignacio's just a little bit quicker at 155. I think he'll be able to get the job done. I think he'll win this fight most likely by unanimous decision. Actually, no. I think he finishes John Makdessi in this fight. I'm going to say TKO finish for Ignacio Bahamondes. I'll go by second round finish. Again, something to note, though, Ignacio's last loss was at lightweight. You just don't know, but I think he'll be able to get the job done by second round TKO. So next up, we have got Erin Blanchfield taking on Norma Dumont. We'll start here with Erin Blanchfield making her debut in the UFC, coming over from Invicta. She's currently on a 3-fight winning streak. Her only loss in her career is a split decision fight against Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez, UFC fighter, very tough opponent there, and she did go the distance with her over in Invicta 34 in Salt Lake City, Utah. And yeah, also Erin Blanchfield beat Kay Hansen. So another very good one, another UFC fighter in Kay Hansen. Very young prospect, very huge upside right there potentially with Kay Hansen. And Erin Blanchfield got the job done by majority decision in 2018. Also, she beat another UFC fighter in Victoria Leonardo in February of 2020. And I know Leonardo just lost her last fight to Manon Fiorot. And I picked that one, by the way. Leonardo did not look very good in that fight. But Erin Blanchfield does own 2 wins over 2 UFC fighters. And the Tracy Cortez fight was a very close fight as well, and she just won her last fight by unanimous decision in July of last year. Erin Blanchfield, man, has looked very good in the past. I don't know why she's an underdog in this fight. She's currently the underdog. She's a big underdog in this one. I don't really get it, if I'm being honest with you. I really like Erin Blanchfield in this fight, but don't get me wrong, Norma Dumont is very good as well, but Blanchfield coming to this one with a record of 6-1. definitely outside of the UFC, she has fought the tougher opponents, and that is by far. So again, that's Erin Blanchfield, current record of 6-1. Her stand-up game is good, but her jiu-jitsu is very good as well. Fighting at Renzo Gracie over there in New York as well. I mean, again, her ground game is very good. Her stand-up game is good as well. She did beat Leonardo with a head kick in their fight. I don't know, man. Do not sleep on Erin Blanchfield on this fight. Again, went 15 minutes with Tracy Cortez and had one of the judges give that fight to her as well. So again, coming into this fight with the record of 6-1. Let's talk about her opponent, though, in Norma Dumont. And yeah, Norma Dumont is coming off a win over Ashley Evans Smith in November of last year. I mean, sure, it was by unanimous decision on Smith and Clark. I mean, okay, but like Ashley Evans Smith has not been great in the UFC recently. For being honest with ourselves, she just really hasn't. And she's coming off a big layoff coming in that fight. Norma Dumont before that fought Megan Anderson. She's not a 145 pounder. She went up, she fought Megan Anderson. She got knocked out. It was pretty expected. Megan Anderson no longer in the UFC, by the way. But yeah, Dumont lost that fight in the first round. Before that, came over from Shuto. She won her last fight there by majority decision. But if we're talking about like the strength of schedule outside the UFC, Norma Dumont fought 0-0, 2-0, 0-2, and 13-8 fighters. You look at Erin Blanchfield, she's fighting Kay Hansen, Tracy Cortez, and Victoria Leonardo. I'm just saying. I know that really doesn't mean anything once you get to the UFC. Again, Danilo Marquez is coming off back-to-back wins in the UFC, and he was fighting guys who were like 0-34 in Brazil. So Norma Dumont, though, again, the Ashley Evans Smith fight, she looked all right. We know her ground game is very good, and that's probably where she's going to want to go in this fight. I don't really think she should stand with Erin Blanchfield, because I think Blanchfield probably will hold the advantage on the feet if they do decide to strike. But on the ground, again, I just don't know. It's very evenly matched on the ground. Erin Blanchfield did have a little bit of trouble on the ground with Tracy Cortez, but again, that is expected because Tracy Cortez is a very good ground fighter in the UFC. So again, you just don't know. Again, though, I'm going to go with the upset. So, yeah, I don't have the exact odds on me right now. They will be flashing on the screen. They've been rotating, but I'm sure the odds you have seen on the screen recently. But currently, what I'm looking at right now, again, they definitely could have changed. But right now, I've got Norma Dumont as a minus 255 favorite. This is just on Tapology, so it's not on, like, it's not on best fight odds or anything. So, it's just a quick, I'm just looking at it real quick. That's what I have right now in Norma Dumont. Erin Blanchfield currently have her at a plus 200 underdog. I'm just saying, hammer that. I mean, like, what are we doing? Like, I think Erin Blanchfield wins this fight. I think she wins it pretty convincingly. I'm not really sold on Norma Dumont. I think Blanchfield has the better stand-up game. I think her ground game's a little bit better too. But I think Erin Blanchfield keeps this fight standing, and I think she wins the unanimous decision in this one. I really like her stand-up game. I like her ground game as well. But again, I think she has the clear advantage on the feet in this one. I'm going with the Erin Blanchfield unanimous decision by controlling the pace on the feet. Next up, we've got Scott Holtzman taking on Mateusz Gamrot. We'll start first here with Mateusz Gamrot. Last fight, he won that fight. Like, no one's telling me otherwise. And I think the upside for Gamrot and Guram Kutateladze, very high. I think both these guys are going to be big stars in this promotion, but Mateusz Gamrot won that fight. Like, no one's telling me otherwise. I don't get it. One fight of the night. I thought he won that one pretty convincingly. Even Guram Kutateladze thought that Mateusz Gamrot won that fight as well. Everyone thought Mateusz Gamrot won that fight. I still don't get it. But again, Gamrot was coming over from KSW. He was the former KSW lightweight champion. I was super high on him coming into the UFC. I'm like, all right, this dude, potentially, you could be seeing him in the top 15 someday. I mean, or maybe even the top 10. I mean, just give this guy time. He's going to be a star in this promotion. I mean, he was the former featherweight champion over there, former lightweight champion in KSW. And yeah, I mean, he lost to Guram Kutateladze. It's not a bad loss, don't get me wrong. Because Kutateladze, another one of these guys coming over from Brave. He's going to be I think he's going to be a good fighter as well in the UFC. I really think he's going to be, but obviously that's not going to happen, or he's not fighting. Again, Mateusz Gamrot is his night against Scott Holtzman. And Mateusz Gamrot, though, incredible fighter on the feet, on the ground. He can get the job done everywhere. I really like his striking. Again, I thought he won that fight against Kutateladze. Thought he outstruck him, but didn't get the decision in that one. Again, I'm just going to stand by that one. Mateusz Gamrot won that fight. But we have seen Scott Holtzman just get recently knocked out, and I know that was an incredible spinning back fist by Beneil Dariush. I mean, it was just perfect the way Dariush put that spinning back fist on Scott Holtzman. But Gamrot will put it on you. I mean, he will. His pressure is very good on the feet, and his ground game, if it hits the mat, he is pretty solid there as well. Coming into this fight, Mateusz Gamrot's record of 17-1. That one loss being to Guram Kutateladze. He did not lose that fight. I'm gonna say it time and time out. I'm gonna say he won that fight. He should still be undefeated, 18-0. But again, coming into this fight with Scott Holtzman, pretty solid favorite coming into this one, minus 235, give or take right now for Matus Gamrot. Let's talk about his opponent, though, it's Scott Holtzman. So Holtzman is getting up there in age, if we are being honest. He currently is 37 years old, so that's a little bit concerning. And then coming off that big knockout loss to Dariush, that was not pretty. Again, he just got knocked out pretty quickly in that fight, spinning back fist for Dariush, even though he did miss weight in that one. But yeah, Holtzman, again, before that, beat Jim Miller by unanimous decision. It was a solid win, one fight of the night over there in Rio Rancho last year. And before that, beat Dong Hyung Ma by TKO in Covington and Lawler in Newark, New Jersey. Before that, he lost to Nick Lentz by unanimous decision. Beat Alan Pachrik before that, beat Daryl Horcher, beat Michael McBride, lost to Josh Emmett, and beat Cody Pfister, and then before that lost to Drew Dober. So I mean, it's been a pretty tough road right now, or so far, for Scott Holtzman. He's fought some of the best, and now he's taking on the former KSW lightweight champion, who again should be undefeated. Scott Holtzman, though, stand-up game is good. Do I think it's better than Matus Gamrot in both these guys' points of their career? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think Gamrot's got the advantage on the feet. On the ground, again, these guys are not known for their ground game. They're not known for their jiu-jitsu. If I had to give an advantage to anyone, I'm gonna give it to Matus Gamrot again. I think Gamrot's got all of his bases covered in this one. I think he's gonna win this fight. I think it's that simple. Another one of the hype trains I've been on is the Matus Gamrot hype train. We're gonna continue to ride the hype train this Saturday night. I think he beats Scott Holtzman. Again, I'm concerned Scott Holtzman just got knocked out pretty brutally to Beneil Dariush. He's again getting up there in age, 37 years old, against a very, I wouldn't call Matus Gamrot a young up-and-comer. He is 30 years old, but it's a well-known name. Again, should be undefeated. KSW champion, former KSW double champion. Matus Gamrot is winning this fight. Do I think he finishes them? I'm not that confident. I am confident Gamrot's going to win this one. I'm not that confident he's going to get the finish. So I'm going to say a Matus Gamrot unanimous decision win in this one to improve to 18-1. So rounding out the prelims, we have got Jim Miller taking on Joe Solecki. Let's start first here with Jim Miller. So his last fight was a loss to Vince Pichel by unanimous decision on the Cormier Miocic 3 card. And before that, he beat Roosevelt Roberts by armbar, beat Scott Holtzman, or lost to Scott Holtzman, excuse me, beat Clay Guida, beat Jason Gonzalez, lost to Charles Oliveira, who's about to fight for a world championship, lost to Alex White, or beat Alex White, lost to Dan Hooker, Trinaldo, lost as well, lost to Pettis, lost to Poirier, beat Thiago Alves, beat Joe Lozone, beat Takanori Gomi, lost to Diego Sanchez, lost to Michael Chiesa. All right, you get it. He's fought a lot of great fighters. Lost to Dariush, lost to Cowboy, beat Medeiros, beat Joe Lozone, lost to Nate Diaz, beat Melvin Garrard, lost to Benson Henderson, beat Charles Oliveira, beat Glibson Tebow. Just incredible fighters. Lost to Gray Maynard. Jim Miller's fought everyone. He has fought everyone in the promotion. He lost to Frankie Yeager back in 2006. So, I'm just saying. Jim Miller has fought everyone. Again, he holds most of the records in the UFC. All of them for most fights, most wins. And yeah, the record speaks for itself. Jim Miller, current record of 32 wins and 15 losses. He was supposed to fight Bobby Green earlier on in the year. I thought that was a pretty bad matchup for Jim Miller. But Bobby Green, unfortunately, could not make the walk for that fight. So now Miller is taking on a really good ground fighter, by the way, in Joe Solecki. We'll get to Solecki more just a couple minutes here. But Jim Miller, again, we know his ground game is good. We have seen him get finishes on the ground recently over guys such as Alex White, Gonzalez, Clay Guida, Roosevelt Roberts. And again, when you count Jim Miller out of fights, that's when he beats you. Roosevelt Roberts, a lot of people thought Roosevelt Roberts was going to beat Jim Miller. Miller pulls off that armbar pretty early into that fight. One submission of the night as well. But like Joe Solecki's very talented on the ground, and Jim Miller's not going to win a stand-up fight. Because Solecki's not known for his striking, and Jim Miller these days doesn't usually win stand-up fights. But in this one, that's probably where he's going to have to go. Jim Miller, if he wins this fight, is probably got to be in the feet. Because Joe Solecki's going to take him down, and it's one of these rare occasions. You do see it sometimes with Jim Miller, i.e. Vince Pichel, kind of. But Charles Oliveira is the more recent one, where Jim Miller doesn't have the advantage on the ground. This is one of these fights. Joe Solecki's going to have the advantage on the ground, so Jim Miller's going to have to find a way to win this fight on the feet, which a Jim Miller who's 37 years old and he's been through how many fights? Yeah, a lot. 47 fights. This is going to be his 48th fight. It's tough to say Jim Miller's going to win a stand-up fight. So that's just a little bit concerning. Let's talk about his opponent, though, in Joe Solecki. And yeah, Solecki coming into this fight with a record of 10 wins and 2 losses. Most recently, the 2 wins in the UFC were over Matt Wyman, his first win over in December of 2019, and then after that, he did go on to beat Austin Hubbard by rear naked choke in August of last year on the Frankie Edgar and Pedro Munoz card in the Apex. And before that, he beat James Wallace in the Contender Series to get his way into the UFC. How do I keep this simple? I think Joe Solecki's winning this fight. Again, I just stated it earlier. I just don't think Jim Miller is going to win this fight, because Miller to win this fight probably has to win this fight in the feet. There's no chance in hell he submits Joe Solecki. Again, Miller's wrestling is good. Do I think his jiu-jitsu is good enough to beat Joe Solecki? It's not. Solecki submits everyone, basically. It's just a bad stylistic matchup for Jim Miller in this one. I think Miller's still solid, but Solecki's just a younger version of Jim Miller, it feels like. It's tough to say, but he really is. I mean, Solecki's 10 years younger than Jim Miller. He can do everything Miller can. Again, Solecki's not known for his stand-up game, but if he has to get the job done defeating his Jim Miller, I think there's a good chance he probably will. But again, this fight will most likely end up on the ground after Joe Solecki lands a takedown on Jim Miller. Or if Miller lands a takedown with Joe Solecki, Solecki might welcome it because he might want Jim Miller in his guard. So I'm going to say Joe Solecki wins this one. Do I think he gets a finish? It's tough to finish Jim Miller on the ground. It really is. You saw Vince Pichel try. He couldn't. So that being said, I don't think Solecki will get a finish. I think he wins this one by unanimous decision, but I think it'll be a pretty clear decision. I'm going to say Joe Solecki wins this one 30-27 pretty convincingly. Give Solecki the win, improving to a record of 11-2. So we're finally on the main card. Now we are doing Mike Perry and Daniel Rodriguez here. We will start first with Mike Perry. The last fight against Tim Means, missed weight by 4.5 pounds, did the dab on the scale. Yikes. Lost the fight by unanimous decision. Had his moments in that one. Did have Tim Means rocked at a couple points in that fight on the main card of UFC 255. Yes, he had to pay for that fight. But yeah, Perry lost that fight. I had it 29-28 to Means. Yeah, I mean, pretty easily, right? Before that, Mike Perry beat Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall is okay fighter. That's putting it pretty lightly. I won that one by unanimous decision. Mike Perry uses wrestling a lot in that one. Good win. Before that, I lost to Jeff Neal. Got head kicked pretty quick in that fight. Lost. Vicente Luque, I feel like that fight gets mentioned every other weekend for me. I'll say it again. Thought Mike Perry won that fight. We'll move on, though. If you want my real opinion with that, ask me in the comments. I'll let you know again. But, yeah, I thought Perry won that one. Before that, beat Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Lost to Donald Cowboy Cerrone before that. Beat Paul Felder at welterweight, which is now looking like a really good win. Lost to Max Griffin. Lost to Ponzinibbio. Beat Alex Reyes. Beat Jake Ellenberger. And before that, lost to Alan Jouban. Beat Danny Roberts and beat Hin Jim Liu on UFC 202, his UFC debut. Mike Perry, what do we know? Great striker. Great boxer when he's at his best. He's a very good boxer. Mike Perry's wrestling has gotten better. Like, he's like, we saw him almost dump Alex Oliveira on his head. He dumped he dumped Mickey Gall a couple times in their fight. So Perry's wrestling is very good. He's got a lot of strength. Does he really use it though? Like, once he gets the takedown, he kind of just gets back up. Doesn't really do much with the takedown. He'll just do it to try to get out of some situations, which isn't horrible for Mike Perry, but he's using that all to set up his boxing. But Daniel Rodriguez is one of these guys, though, who can box really well, too. And I know he lost his last fight to Nicholas Dalby, which we'll talk about that in a second. So it's a tough fight for Mike Perry. Can he win this fight? Definitely. If he doesn't win this fight, though, I do think that we might be seeing Mike Perry outside of the UFC. Something else, though, that is interesting. Mike Perry is supposedly training at MMA Masters. That is interesting. If he really is fighting over there in Miami, Florida, and if he is really training with Colby Covington, which is interesting, that could be huge. Again, I'm not completely sure on the gym here, Mike Perry, but there are rumors that he is at MMA Masters, and Colby Covington himself did confirm that. So that is interesting. If Mike Perry is training out of there in Florida, that's an interesting narrative going into this one. Will we see a Mike Perry just pure wrestler in this one? Well, if he does do that, Daniel Rodriguez is pretty solid too, grappling-wise. You did see him catch Tim Means in that guillotine choke in their fight just last year. So there's that. Mike Perry, though, again, heavy hands. If he does land, he will probably end the fight. But Daniel Rodriguez is a tough guy to land on. And again, Dwight Grant had him hurt, and Daniel Rodriguez still finished that fight against Grant. So Perry coming into this fight with the record of 14-7. Again, though, he has fought the best of the best. The Ponzinibbios of the world, the Max Griffins of the world. Okay. Paul Felders, Cowboy, Luque, Neal. Those great guys in the octagon. Tim Means will throw him in there as well. So yeah, that's Mike Perry. Let's talk about his opponent in Daniel Rodriguez. And yeah, Daniel Rodriguez lost to Nicholas Dalby. you didn't think that was going to happen, right? I thought that fight was a little bit of a mismatch. I thought Daniel Rodriguez just going to be able to outstrike Nicholas Dalby in that fight. Didn't go our way in that one. Rodriguez was a pretty big favorite, minus 345, because everyone was down on Nicholas Dalby because the fight before that, he did lose to Jesse Ronson. That fight actually did get overturned, though, so there's that. But yeah, Rodriguez did lose his fight to Nicholas Dalby. Before that, he beat Dwight Grant. Again, tremendous fight. Go watch that fight. Very good comeback in that one. For Daniel Rodriguez, he's hurt early in the fight. He eventually finishes it by TKO. Then after that, before that, he did beat Gabe Green, beat Tim Means by guillotine choke in his debut in the UFC. Again, the MMA math does not work like that, but technically, Daniel Rodriguez has beat Tim Means. Mike Perry just most recently did lose to Tim Means. Rodriguez is coming to this fight with a record of 13-2. Those 2 losses coming to Nicholas Dalby, and then to Victor Reina in 2017 December in Combate. Lost that fight by split decision. Okay. So Rodriguez, though, I think at this point in his career, I think he'll be able to outstrike Mike Perry. Now it's just can Mike Perry actually come in there and land some takedowns? I think that might be a strategy if he is training at MMA Masters. Because again, Mike Perry's just gone through gyms over the last couple of years. I think it is, though, he is finally over there in Miami. So if he is going to MMA Masters using that jiu-jitsu wrestling approach, will we see a different Mike Perry in this fight? I'm just saying, will we see a different Mike Perry who's able to land takedowns and keep guys on their back? That's an interesting narrative, don't get me wrong, but it's just a risk I'm not willing to take. I'm going to take Daniel Rodriguez in this fight just because I don't know what Mike Perry are we going to get. Are we going to get the not serious Mike Perry who comes in this fight 4 pounds overweight, just there to get a paycheck? Or are we getting the Mike Perry who went 3 rounds with Vicente Luque and arguably won that fight? I just don't know what Mike Perry we are getting this one. He actually has a corner now, though, with Cesar Conero, Daniel Valverde over there, MMA Masters, but again, it's just too many risks involved. I'm going to take Daniel Rodriguez to win this fight by unanimous decision. I think the striking is just going to be a little bit too much, so we're going to go with D-Rod to get the job done by unanimous decision. So next up, we've got the return of Nina Askarov taking on Mackenzie Dern. Really interesting matchup here. We will start first with we'll start with Mackenzie Dern. So our last fight was a very good win over Virna Jandiroba, unanimous decision win over in UFC 256, Figueiredo and Moreno. Yeah, you got 29-28 across the board for Mackenzie Dern, a very good victory over there. Before that, she caught Randa Marcos in an armbar where Dern, well, no, in that fight, yeah, Randa Marcos just kind of goes for a takedown, and Dern's like, all right, let's go to the ground, and she catches her in an armbar. That's how that fight ended. Hannah Cifers, knee barred her. Hannah Cifers, not the best UFC fighter, for being real with ourselves here. Was supposed to fight Emily Whitmire, pulled out of that fight. Who knows what's happening with Hannah Cifers next. Before that, Mackenzie Dern, she fought Amanda Ribas, lost that fight by unanimous decision. It's gonna happen. Beat Amanda Bobby Cooper, rear naked choke finish, UFC 244. Before that, beat, or 224, excuse me. And before that, beat Ashley Yoder in her debut, UFC 222. Mackenzie Dern, yeah, obviously, knockout artist. I'm joking. Mackenzie Dern, just incredible BJJ. We know that. I mean, that's every fight for Mackenzie Dern. If you end up on the ground with Mackenzie Dern, you're likely going to get finished. Now, Nina Askarov's a little bit different, but Mackenzie Dern in the last fight showed that she can strike. She stood there with Virna Jandiroba, and she traded. Again, we have the Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman scenario. 2 very good grapplers end up striking, and Mackenzie Dern won a striking fight with Virna Jandiroba. But I know that's not incredible. It's not like saying, oh yeah, she outstruck Zhang Weili in a fight, but still, it's a good win, good experience. She won that fight by unanimous decision in a striking fight. It's out of Mackenzie Dern's comfort level. It really is. So it's a very good win for Mackenzie Dern. Coming into this fight with the record of 10-1, the one loss, of course, being to Amanda Ribas. I like this fight for Mackenzie Dern. I really do. Again, she's in the top 10, I believe, or she's right outside of it. She's number 11 in the weight class. Nina Askarov is number 12, give or take. Or no, Nina Askarov is number 5. She's number 12 in the pound for pound. Oh my goodness. Again, she hasn't fought in a while, so that's questionable. But yeah, Mackenzie Dern, again, incredible BJJ. We know that's what she's going to bring to the table. Nina Askarov's going to have to find a way to avoid the tremendous BJJ of Mackenzie Dern. So let's talk about her, Nina Askarov. And yeah, Askarov's last fight, I mean, she's fighting the best of the best. Who would have thought that Nina Askarov would fight before Tatiana Suarez? Fights against Suarez. Again, her neck injuries. I feel like every time we bring up Tatiana Suarez on the channel, hopefully she gets better. Hopefully she does come back to fighting. Hopefully her neck does get better. But yeah, Askarov's back. She lost that fight to Tatiana Suarez, but Suarez won the first rounds of that fight. But in the third round, man, Suarez was gassing, and Nina Askarov was winning that third round. We know Suarez, since then, she has said she did have the neck neck issues in that third round, but Askarov was coming back in that third round, but it was a little bit too late for her in that fight. Before that for Askarov, though, she did go on a 4-fight winning streak. Wins over Angela Hill, Randa Marcos, and Claudia Gadelha. The Gadelha win obviously being the big one on UFC 231. Holloway and Brian T-City Ortega. She came to the UFC, did lose the first 2 fights, though, to Juliana Lima and Justine Kish, and of course that 4-fight run, and then most recently losing to Tatiana Suarez. Nina Askarov, though, good boxing, and it feels like the classic grappler striker match. It really does, because I think if Askarov can keep this one on the feet, don't get me wrong, Dern looked very improved in her last fight against Vina Jandiroba with her stand-up game, but Nina Askarov against Mackenzie Dern, straight kickboxing. Nina Askarov's going to win this fight, but Mackenzie Dern, Nina Askarov, straight up BJJ, and Mackenzie Dern is going to win this fight. So it's a classic grappler, striker. Who do you think's going to win? Do you think Nina Askarov can stuff a lot of takedowns, or do you think Mackenzie Dern can land 2 different takedowns in 2 different rounds? That's how simple I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it. My quick answer to that one, though, for being real, is Mackenzie Dern. We don't know what Nina Askarov we are going to get. I mean, she just gave birth just a couple months ago, it feels like. It wasn't a couple months ago, though. It was in September. So, again, it has been a little bit of time, though, for Nina Askarov. Last fight was in June of 2019. Dern has been very active. She's fought 4 times since then. And I think she's going to be able to land a couple takedowns. I think Mackenzie Dern just needs to land 2 takedowns in 2 different rounds if she's going to win this fight. I think it's that simple now. Do I think she finishes Nina Askarov on the ground? That's a different story. I don't think she finishes her. But I think Dern wins a decision here. I think her wrestling and her BJJ is going to be too much. She's going to control Nina Askarov in this fight. I think she will try to pull off a couple submissions in this one. I don't think she's going to be able to fish for that. She's not going to be able to get that finish, but she's going to get close. I think Dern's going to win this one pretty convincingly. I don't know why Nina Askarov is a favorite right now. Again, if I'm looking at this, like, why? Mackenzie Dern should win this fight. Like, everything points to a Mackenzie Dern victory. I know Nina Askarov's main training partner is the greatest of all time. It is Amanda Nunes, but Mackenzie Dern, no one can replicate her BJJ, even Amanda Nunes. And I know Nunes' BJJ is very good, but Mackenzie Dern a lot. She's got the knee bars. She's got a submission in every single position. I think Dern wins this one. Give it to her, though, by unanimous decision. Don't think she gets a finish. So next up, we've got Sam Alvey taking on Julian Marquez. Let's start first here with smiling Sam Alvey. So his last fight was a draw to Jung. We talked about that one earlier. It was on UFC 254, Gaethje and Khabib. Yeah, the final scorecards in that fight, we have got 29-28, 28-29, and 28-28. Of course, one judge had it for Alvey, one for Jung, one for a draw, so obviously it is a draw. Before that for Alvey, he lost to Ryan Spann in a fight that I thought he probably won, UFC 49. It was close, though, so who knows. Before that, lost to Hilton Abreu, unanimous decision. Before that, lost to Jimmy Crute by TKO. Nothing against that, because Jimmy Crute, again, future, I wouldn't say champion, maybe, but future top 5 guy, definitely. And then before that, lost to Lil Nog. You really don't want to see that on the record, considering how old Lil Nog was at the time. Lil Nog was 42 years old, and he knocked out Sam Alvey in Brazil. Yikes. And then before that, he barely beat Jan Vellante by split decision, and before that, beat Marcin Prachnio. And yeah, I mean, Prachnio's UFC run hasn't been great, but then he just beat Khalil Roundtree. Again, I don't know how that one happened. Before that, Sam Alvey, he beat Rashad Evans. Sure. Is Rashad Evans coming back to MMA? I don't know. But Sam Alvey coming to this fight, the record 33 wins, 14 losses, and 1 draw. Alvey, this will be his 50th pro fight. Yeah, the brawler, Sam Alvey, he's going to throw a lot of volume. He's going to be in your face. Doesn't really care if he gets hit. He's willing to throw one to he's willing to get hit with one to throw one, right? I mean, it's a Sam Alvey fight. Now, Julian Marquez, coming off of a long hiatus, just fought 2 months ago to Maki Pitolo in a fight where he did take damage, and he was losing that fight up until the final minute where he did get the Anaconda finish over Pitolo. I'm just saying. Like, Sam Alvey's fighting for his contract in this fight. He needs to win. And Marquez just fought 2 months ago, man. I mean, I'm just saying, if Sam Alvey's ever going to win a fight here to stay in the UFC, it's very specific, but this is the damn time. And Julian Marquez, I know we're high on him off the Pitolo win, but I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Sam Alvey, though, again, he's been fighting the UFC for a while. His first fight was in 2014. It was on Bader versus St. Preux over in Maine. Yeah, they had a card in Maine. Ryan Bader, by the way, won that one by unanimous decision. He's going to fight Lyoto Machida on Friday in the Bellator Grand Prix. Pumped up for that fight. By the way, Bellator was pretty cool last weekend. No UFC. Pitbull got the job done over Emmanuel Sanchez in the co-main event. Jason Jackson beat Neiman Gracie. Hey, I thought he won the fight. Big John McCarthy didn't think so. What the hell? But yeah, that's Bellator. Back to the UFC. So yeah, that's Sam Alvey. We went on a Bellator run right there. But yeah, Alvey again, record of 33, 14 wins, or 14 losses and 1 draw. Let's talk about his opponent in the Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez. And yeah, Julian Marquez, I mean, hey, his last fight, Maki Pitolo, sure, he won. He called out Miley Cyrus. He actually got a response. Who would have thought? Sold the bag, but whatever, it's cool. Definitely lost a bet. But Julian Marquez, yeah, beat Maki Pitolo in a fight he was losing up to that point. Threw up that Anaconda choke last second. He got the job done. Incredible comeback. UFC 258. That was on the main card, by the way. But yeah, it was a good win for Julian Marquez, coming off a 3-year long hiatus, because before that he lost to Alessio Di Chirico over in Vegas in the Ultimate Fighter finale show by split decision. Before that he beat Darren Stewart by guillotine, and before that he did knock out Phil Hawes on the Contender Series. So currently in the UFC, Julian Marquez is 2-1. Now we know he's good on the feet, and he threw up that submission against Maki Pitolo, but the thing is, Marquez was losing a striking fight to Maki Pitolo on that one. It was pretty obvious Pitolo was winning on the feet. Sam Alvey's striking is pretty good too. And in order for Julian Marquez to beat Sam Alvey on the feet, he's got to get into a brawl with him, because that's every single Sam Alvey fight. That's concerning. Like, I think that Julian Marquez should probably win this one. But you just don't know. You just don't know, because Sam Alvey just is very random. Sam Alvey fights. Sometimes he's very good, sometimes he just gets caught. It's just that simple. You just don't know what Sam Alvey you are going to get. And it's a little bit concerning considering all the damage Julian Marquez did just take 2 months ago. So, I liked what I saw in the Pitolo fight, but thinking about it now, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going Smiling Sam Alvey. I think he's going to be able to bring the pressure on him. I just don't like how... Okay, I don't like how Marquez took those big shots 2 months ago, and he's coming back that quickly, and you're fighting a guy like Sam Alvey who's going to pressure you, he's going to throw some heavy shots, and he doesn't really care if he gets hit. He's just going to keep coming forward, and he's going to try to land one and knock you out. That's why I've got Sam Alvey to win this one, man. I think Sam Alvey will catch Julian Marquez in this fight. I think he's going to put him away. I'm going Sam Alvey's second round finish. Yeah, and I know Sam Alvey has not won a fight since he beat Jan Vellante in June of 2018 in New York on the Rivera Marlon Moraes card, but I'm still going with them. Sam Alvey gets the job done. He beats Julian Marquez. He stays in the UFC. Give him the TKO finish in the second round. Alright, so next up we've got Khizriev Khizriev. I think I got that one right. Against Kyle Daukaus. Okay, this is an interesting fight because Khizriev is undefeated, 13-0. Kyle Daukaus is 10-1. His only loss being to Brendan Allen, who's a very good fighter. Alright, starting first here with Khizriev Khizriev. So coming over from the Contender Series, got his first fight done. He was a big favorite in that fight. Won that one by rear naked choke 50 seconds into their fight. Okay, he's coming to that one off a 2-year hiatus. He just beat Rusmayer Palhares. Screw Palhares, just a piece of crap. I mean, holding all those damn submissions too late. I mean, just go watch Palhares on YouTube. He's a piece of I mean, it's that simple. He really is. But yeah, Khizriev beat him by ground and pound in the first round. Good for him. And before that, he came over from Fight Nights Global. That fight against Palhares was at Fight Nights Global as well as for the interim welterweight championship, which he did win. But then, of course, won the Contender Series right afterwards. But didn't fight in Fight Nights Global for about 2 years. Wasn't fighting. Took some time off. Now he's finally back there. He's taking on Kyle Daukaus. Khizriev, though, pretty good on the feet and pretty good on the ground as well. I mean, of course, we saw in the Contender Series, he can get fights to the ground and finish them pretty quickly. Hell, his last 2 fights, he got them both to the ground and finished them within a minute. So that's something to be concerned of if you are Kyle Daukaus, but you know how good Kyle Daukaus' ground game is. It's very damn good, and he's really... I think if Khizriev goes for a takedown here, Daukaus won't be too surprised, and he knows what he's doing on his back. He really does, and I think he knows how to set the takedown as well. So I feel pretty confident for this one. If you got to feel pretty confident in this one if you are Kyle Daukaus. But for Khizriev too, though, you're riding these 2 fights where you just go in there, you get him done, a minute or less, and you are out of there. But he's not going to do the same to Kyle Daukaus. He's not, and again, this is going to be a competitive fight because you just don't know what Khizriev brings to the table. But Kyle Daukaus, again, coming off his last win, very good win over Dustin Stoltzfus, won that one by unanimous decision over on UFC 255. Figueiredo and Perez won that one pretty convincingly, and before that, he lost to Brendan Allen by unanimous decision, but a very good fight. Go watch that one. Good fight in the summer of last year on Poirier Hooker, very bloody fight, but Kyle Daukaus, short notice replacement in that fight, held his own against a very good fighter in Brendan Allen, and Daukaus, that is his only pro loss. He's currently sitting at a record of 10 wins and 1 loss. And yeah, I mean, again, Khizriev, coming to this fight, very good ground game, very good stand-up game, but you can't forget how good Kyle Daukaus' ground game is as well. Now, his stand-up game is a little bit shaky, so I would give a slight advantage to Khizriev on the feet. I really would. But I think Kyle Daukaus, I think he's going to be able to take this one to the ground. I think he's going to be able to have the advantage. I like Kyle Daukaus on the ground in this one. I think I just like the strength of schedule outside of the UFC for Daukaus more than Khizriev. Yes, Khizriev did beat Palhares, but other than that, he really didn't beat too many impressive guys outside of the UFC. And we haven't seen him in the UFC yet. We've seen Kyle Daukaus hold his own with Brendan Allen in the UFC. You gotta like that if you're in the camp of Kyle Daukaus. I really like Daukaus coming in this fight. Again, the former CFFC Cage Fury middleweight champion, the promotion that had a guy lose his damn finger in a fight with CM Punk on commentary. But yeah, I like Kyle Daukaus in this one. I think he wins this one. I think he finishes him. I'll go Kyle Daukaus, be the first guy to ever beat Khizriev. I think he gets the job done. Just think he's a little bit too good. Daukaus is gonna wear him out on the ground. I think he'll finish him pretty early in the third round, but yeah, we're gonna go with the Kyle Daukaus finish. Next up in the co-main event, we have got Arnold Allen taking on Super Sodiq Yusuff. What a damn fight this is. I'm so excited for this one. In the co-main event, we will start first here though with Super Sodiq Yusuff. We haven't seen him in a while. We haven't seen both these guys in a while. Since January of last year, they both fought a week apart in January. And Yusuff's last fight, it was a unanimous decision win over Andre Fili on UFC 246. He was on the Conor McGregor and Donald Cowboy Cerrone card, got the big win by unanimous decision there. And before that, beat Gabriel Mowgli Benitez by TKO, beat Shimon Moraes, and then before that, beat Suman Mokhtarian, and before that, beat Mike Davis. So currently 4-0 in the UFC with that Davis win on the Contender Series. He did lose once for the Titan Featherweight Championship in 2017 to Luis Gomez. Lost that one by KO, but since then, Super Sodiq Yusuff has been incredible in the octagon, man. The Andre Fili win was really damn good. Landed some bombs on Andre Fili. Did not get the job done by finish, but still put the pressure on Andre Fili in that fight. You want to see both these guys be more active. You really do. They're both in the top 15 of the division, soon to be top 10. The winner will definitely be in the top 10. Allen's actually already 10. Super Sodiq Yusuff is number 11. And yeah, I mean, this is an up-and-comers fight. Given both these guys 27 years old, pretty young for the weight class. You're gonna see these guys in the top 5. I can guarantee you that in definitely the next 3 years. I really think very highly for these two guys. And yeah, Sodiq Yusuff though, incredible power on the feet. For being a 145 pounder. He possesses a lot of power in his damn hands, finishing Gabriel Benitez on UFC 241, looked very good in doing so. And there's that. He also has the cardio to go 3 rounds and go hard for 3 rounds as well. So yeah, that's Sodiq Yusuff. Current record of 11-1. Let's talk about his opponent though, in the British-born fighter in Arnold Allen. And again, we have not seen Arnold Allen since January of last year. It was January 25th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Blades in Dos Santos. He beat Nick Lentz pretty convincingly by unanimous decision in that fight. The final scorecards for that one, we've got 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27 for that one for Arnold Allen. Before that, he did beat Gilbert Melendez by unanimous decision on UFC 239. That card, of course, being John Jones and Thiago Santos. Final scorecards for that fight, we have got 30-27 across the board for Arnold Allen, and I do believe that was that was Gilbert Melendez's last fight. Yes, it was. It's not a big losing streak, but Arnold Allen was the final name on that list for Gilbert Melendez. And yeah, I mean, Allen's been pretty damn good in the UFC. Has only gotten 2 finishes so far in the promotion, both by submission. I think they're both by guillotine. One of them's called a front choke, but I'm pretty sure it's a guillotine. I mean, it looked like it, but also, he has a win over Makdessi Murakami. Very good. Murakami, good win over there. Split decision in London, England on the Manawa and Corey Anderson card. And yeah, Arnold Allen, another one of these guys with only 1 loss on their record. It is a unanimous decision loss in Cage Warriors in 2014 in London, England. Okay, it's been a damn long time since Arnold Allen has lost. Current record of 16-1 for Allen. Very good stand-up game for Arnold Allen, but also a very good ground game as well. Really good ground game. We've seen him recently with those submission wins. Most recently, though, coming in May of 2018. I think Sodiq Yusuff's got the advantage on the feet in this one. I feel pretty confident in saying that, but I also think Arnold Allen has a pretty, I'll say he has a pretty distinct advantage on the ground. So I wouldn't say it's a grappler versus striker matchup, because Arnold Allen is more than just a grappler, but for Sodiq Yusuff, the path to victory for him remains on the feet. That all being said, I'm going with Yusuff. I think he's going to be able to stuff a couple takedowns in this one. I think Allen's probably going to try to take this one to the ground, but I think Yusuff's going to be able to keep this fight standing. And on the feet, you got to give the power advantage to Yusuff, and I think that's really what matters in this one. I think the power advantage is pretty obvious for Yusuff in this one, and I really like Yusuff, man. I mean, again, it's been a while since we have seen him, but it's been a while since we've seen Allen as well. The Nick Lentz win for Allen was good, but the Yusuff's win over Andre Fili, I would say, was better. He looked so good in that fight, really just outpaced Andre Fili in that one, 29-28 across the board, but at the end of the day, you knew that Yusuff was the winner of that fight pretty convincingly, 2-1. I like Yusuff in this one, man. I really do. It's a breakout performance for whoever wins this fight, though, because you're breaking into the top 7 of the weight class with a win in this fight, and I think it's going to be the breakout performance for Super Yusuff. I think he's even going to get a finish, man. I'm going to go TKO finish for Yusuff on the co-main event of a card on ABC. Push him to the moon. Whoever wins this fight, though, I mean, on a real note, whoever wins this fight is going to be pushed to the moon, though. You're winning on an ABC co-main event. Personally, though, I think it's going to be Super Yusuff by TKO. And it is time for the main event of the evening. Kevin Big Mouth Trailblazer Holland, whatever you want to call him, is back. 3 weeks, and he's back. He's taken on Marvin Vettori, and Vettori's looking to break into that top 5 of the weight class. Same with Kevin Holland, man. The winner of this fight will be in the top 5. And yeah, what a fight we do have. We will start first with Kevin Holland. Just lost, man, to Derek Brunson in a fight which it was entertaining. For the fan, it was entertaining because Kevin Holland was talking to Khabib Nurmagomedov for most of that fight. But Kevin Holland, man, I know what everyone's going to say. He did get out-wrestled in that fight. Yes, he did. But the stand-up in that fight for Kevin Holland, he looked very good in that second round where he did rock Derek Brunson, and it looked like he was going to put away Brunson. He didn't, but he got very damn close. But Marvin Vettori, the game plan is out there, though. It's you take down Kevin Holland and you hope you can keep him there. And I know Kevin Holland did land a takedown Derek Brunson. He was very happy about that. But I mean, the obvious path to victory, I think, for this one for Vettori is to keep this fight on the ground. For Kevin Holland, it's obvious too, though. You stuff a takedown. Now, Marvin Vettori's no slouch on the feet, though. But if you stuff a takedown from Marvin Vettori, Kevin Holland might be able to win this fight on the feet. I mean, I think that I wouldn't want to call it a pure grappler versus striker match, but I feel like it kind of is. Kevin Holland's stand-up game is, I would say, better than Marvin Vettori, and Vettori's ground game is levels ahead of Kevin Holland. Feel pretty confident in saying so. So, Holland, you gotta stuff a takedown in this one. You gotta stop the Marvin Vettori takedown. You gotta use Khabib's advice. You gotta use your hips. You gotta use your hips. You gotta get out the way. Head movement, feet movement, whatever Khabib told Kevin Holland you got to do. Let's hope DC's on the commentary so Holland can ask for some advice as well. But again, don't let the Derek Brunson fight get you down on Kevin Holland. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, but Derek Brunson was just the guy for that night. Brunson uses wrestling to his advantage and kept down Kevin Holland. Didn't shut up Kevin Holland like he said he was going to, but he did a pretty good job in that fight. Now, Kevin Holland, he did fight a very good grappler in Jacare Souza, and he did knock him out. So you can never count Kevin Holland out of a fight. I think Vettori should be a heavy favorite in this one, but again, I would not count out Kevin Holland in the slightest in this one just because of the ability he does have and the power he does have. You saw the Jacare Souza fight where Holland has a little bit of separation, he winds back and he knocks out Jacare off of his back, right? So you can never count out Kevin Holland just because of the power he does possess. I feel like Holland's striking is underrated because I think in this fight, at any point in the feed in this one, Holland can tag Vettori and put him down and put him out. That all being said, Vettori can just drop, level change, and get a takedown and keep Kevin Holland on the ground. So Kevin Holland, again, coming into this fight, 5 wins in 2020. The 1 loss so far in 2021, you've seen the memes online. People are saying, oh, Kevin Holland's going to be the first fighter to win 5 fights in 1 year and then drop 5 the next year. It's not going to happen, I guarantee you that. But yeah, Kevin Holland, again, coming into this fight, just lost in a main event, March 20th. It's insane. It is insane, and it's unfortunate Darren Till cannot make it to this fight, but I like the main event we did end up getting, though, with Holland and Vettori. I think it's an interesting matchup, and it's more interesting than a lot of people are giving it credit to. I think a lot of people are just thinking, okay, Marvin Vettori is going to come into this fight, he's just going to keep taking down Kevin Holland at will. I think Holland's going to have a little bit of an answer this time. I think he's going to. Now, I don't want Kevin Holland to come out here in this fight, though, and just think, all right, crap, I have 35 to 45 seconds in every round before I get taken down. I'm just going to go for it. And I'm just going to try and swing and try to put down Marvin Vettori at the beginning of each round, the beginning of the 5 rounds. I hope that's not his strategy in this one. I hope Holland at least you know, stuffs a couple takedowns here, defends him pretty well, and gives a good account of himself with the grappling. So let's just hope that out of Kevin Holland. But again, current record of this for Kevin Holland coming into this fight with a record of 21-6. I know I repeated myself right there, but yeah, 21-6 record for Kevin Holland. We just talked about his wins 3 weeks ago. I feel like it would be a little redundant of me to talk about him again. Same thing stands. I'm still pretty high on Kevin Holland, even with that loss, even though a lot of people may be down on him. Let's talk about his opponent, though, in the Italian stallion, Marvin Vettori. And Marvin Vettori, hey, coming off that win over Jack Hermansson, didn't think he was going to be able to win that fight, but it was a pretty dominant performance for Marvin Vettori. His first 5-round main event, the Roberson fight should have been the main event, but it's okay. Pretty dominant 5-round main event. Finish, or not finish, but win for Vettori against Jack Hermansson. 49-46 across the board with 149-45 for Vettori as well. He did what he needed to do. We have never seen Jack Hermansson get dominated on the ground like that, and that's what Marvin Vettori did to him. Pretty early in that fight, he cracked Jack Hermansson, and Vettori's stand-up game is very underrated as well, though. Cracked Hermansson, got him to the ground, and just dominated him. That set the pace for the rest of the fight. It really did. Vettori looked very good in the Roberson fight, got him down pretty early, submitted him with the rear naked choke, got out of there pretty easily on Calvillo over in the Apex as well. Before that, beat Andrew Sanchez, Cesar Ferreira. Yeah, lost to Israel Adesanya by split decision. A lot of people will go back to that fight. A lot of people want to see that rematch. I wouldn't be against it, though. I really want to see that fight again. Adesanya barely won that one by split decision. Vettori uses wrestling very good in that one. Used the clinch very well, pushed him back into the fence. Did very good in that fight over in Glendale in the Poirier-Gaethje undercard. And before that, had Eduardo Akhmedov at UFC 219. Vettori's good, man. I mean, he is. The grappling is very good from Marvin Vettori, and his stand-up game's good, too. But again, I would give the slight advantage to Kevin Holland on the feet. I really would. And again, a lot of people are down on Kevin Holland right now. I'm really not. I'm really not. I know he didn't look good in that fight, but you can't underestimate Kevin Holland at all in this one. But on the ground, give him the advantage to Marvin Vettori. And I think that, again, path to victory for Marvin Vettori in this one. Go for the takedowns early. You got to get the takedown to Kevin Holland. You got to keep him down there. And you got to hope Kevin Holland doesn't land a big bomb while you are on the feet. And you can't let the trash talk from Kevin Holland get to you. But Marvin Vettori is just always angry, so I don't think he's going to care. As for my prediction, though, in this one, I'm going Marvin Vettori. I like Kevin Holland. I really do. I really like Kevin Holland. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining to watch. It's a short notice fight for him. That's what he does do. I'm going to take Marvin Vettori just to win this one ever so slightly. I'm a lot closer on this fight than a lot of people are. I really give Kevin Holland a very good chance to win this one. It's a close fight on paper for me. It really is. Don't look at the betting odds. This is a close fight for me. It really is. But I think Vettori's just a little bit too good to get the job done. Just because how Derek Brunson beat Kevin Holland last week, it shows you the game plan how to beat Kevin Holland as for right now. Kevin Holland can get a lot better, of course, with his wrestling in the future, but right now, in 3 weeks, is not much you can do to get better at stuffing takedowns. In a full training camp, and maybe, or in 6 months down the road, Kevin Holland could become a very good defensive wrestler, right? But in 3 weeks, you can't. And Vettori, you see that fight, you watch that fight with Brunson, you see it, you're like, all right, takedowns for days. That's what you gotta do, and you gotta avoid the flurries on the feet from Kevin Holland. And you can't get engaged with the trash talk that Holland will bring, because what Holland's trying to do, he's trying to bait you into thinking, all right, this dude's pissed me the hell off. I'm not gonna wrestle him. I'm just gonna swing with him, and that's where Kevin Holland catches you with a big punch and he puts you down to the ground. Don't get me wrong, that could definitely happen. It's always a possibility in all Kevin Holland fights, but I'm trying to be smart here. I'm going to take Marvin Vettori. As much as I want to tell you, underdog, go get that line with Kevin Holland, it's just not smart at all. Marvin Vettori is probably going to win this fight. Not going to lie, though, I'm going to be cheering for Kevin Holland. I always am. So, yeah, I'm taking Marvin Vettori to win this fight. The winner of this fight will most likely jump up to number 5 in the rankings. It's only one jump up for Marvin Vettori. The winner of this is going to jump Darren Till in the rankings, and I think the winner is just going to stay behind Derek Brunson. Definitely, if it's Kevin Holland, if Vettori finishes Holland, maybe he goes ahead of Derek Brunson, but I definitely anticipate the winner to crack into the top 5 and be number 5 in the middleweight ranks. And the winner of this fight, I want to see against Jared Cannonier. I think that's the fight. I would say Derek Brunson, but if Holland wins, it doesn't make sense to run that back. So give me the winner of this fight against Jared Cannonier. Darren Till is going to be a while with that broken collarbone. Hopefully he comes back healthy, but that's too far down the line. I think the winner of this fight should get Jared Cannonier, hopefully Cannonier is back as well soon. Or, hey, give me Cannonier and Palatnikov. I think that'll be a fun fight as well. But yeah, folks, that will do it for our UFC preview and predictions here with Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland. If you have not yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And again, thank y'all for watching this hour and 7-minute long video here on the channel. If you have not yet, though, make sure to leave that like if you did enjoy the video. Again, folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.